Did you know that weeds secrete a chemical that will inhibit the growth of other plants, creating an environment that allows them to thrive? Last week on Create a Generational Love Cycle, I talked about divisiveness and the role, some of the things that prejudice and racism, slavery, all of that, how it has impacted how we treat others. And today on Create a Generational Love Cycle, the seeds we plant, I am talking about something that is very sensitive to others, but something that really needs to be expressed. Because in order to understand our impact of our behaviors, in order to understand those emotions and feelings that have us doing what we're doing, we have to examine the weeds. We have to understand what causes us to do things to not only help others, but to harm others, to harm ourselves, to decide that we no longer should gift our presence here on earth, or that others do not have the right to do that as well. And so today I'm talking about the word or concept self hatred. It is not self love. It is something that we pick up along the way because I believe that we come here excited about life, loving ourselves because we are from love and we know our role here on earth, which is to express love. But somehow we allow our experiences, the loss of a loved one, the projection of pain from others, the misuse, the abuse, the name calling, the slander, demeaning words, the pain that we feel, the pain weed that we feel, and the anger, and the frustration, and the resentment, and the bitterness that comes along with that. That we end up hating ourselves. And often we can disguise it as narcissist behavior, as false self confidence, a belief that we have true power, and that's why we can say the things we say and do the things we do. But it is false power, because any power that attempts to negate a person's life, demean them, to make them below us through words, through action, to dominate others, is false power, and often hidden by a dislike of oneself, that those other chemicals become low self-esteem, low self-worth, and take root inside of us, that we feel like that in order to feel powerful, we must make someone else feel bad. And as we're doing actions or doing things that appears to be powerful, we are allowing this weed of self-hatred to continue to spread within us, to continue to inhibit the growth of our spiritual seeds: kindness, gentleness, patience, joy. And therefore, we come across as someone who's impatient, that wants things now. We come across as someone that is intimidating, someone who is unhappy, someone who is rough. When you think about domestic violence and you think about pretty much all forms of abuse, the roughness that come, the gentleness that has been sucked dry, Our spiritual plants continue to remain inside of us, our spiritual seeds, but they may not be effective in growing. And you've seen that. I've seen that when I plant tomatoes and they don't ripen. And no matter what I do, no matter what we do, they may not fully ripen because we're not giving them the nourishment that they need. They're not getting enough sun, enough water, enough truth about themselves, for themselves, to help them to be fruitful from the inside out, to be firm, to be sweet, to be nourishing to our bodies and our minds, because the spiritual seeds that we have in us, that's what they do. The gentleness, they remind us, the patience, they remind us of who we are. And often when you're thinking about self-hatred, when you don't have the nourishing foundation or food or space, watering and sunlight, appropriate fertilizers, love, that you end up forgetting who you are. And you believe that what you're doing is right. Self-hatred can come from a lot. I mean, when you think about even racism and you think about seeing how others treat you, of low self-worth, of not value as a person, and that in itself affects DNA replication. It affects what we pass on to other generations and the consciousness of the people that are causing the pain, knowing that's not the real way of life, and how it continues to rob them too as well of kindness, of gentleness, of love and peace. And so when I said that racism, slavery hurt all people, that Martin Luther King said that what you do to one, you do to all, that it didn't just have an impact on those that were seen as less than, that were felt fearful of another race, but those who committed the acts and what it did to their own consciousness, and the seeds not only dominion of others, but the self-hatred that it also took root in them. Because anytime you can do something to another person that is harmful, um, you cannot like yourself. You're not in the right frame of mind. And then we want to know, where does depression, um, or excessive drinking and alcoholism and excessive exercise, all of these excessive behaviors to create something from the outside in. And so, I know we can say, well, that happened a long time ago, but its effects continue to rob us of who we really are, of fulfilling our divine purpose, of true self expression, of having a life that expresses the trueness of our nature, the love, the infinite intelligence, the power that created all things. And sometimes we do have to go a little bit back in order to move forward. And when I say back, it's not about holding rallies. And although some do that, I'm not talking about that per se. I'm talking about going back to the mind that created it. That means changing our individual thoughts to one that is more of an alignment, mental patterns of our creator. That I don't believe that we can achieve this through force, through violence. And we've seen it. I watched a movie the other day, and how a group of people were trying to achieve something through violence, that basically an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, that you kill me, I kill you. And we have to understand that violence begets more violence, That when Mother Teresa said, I'm it's not about war, but it's more about peace. I am pro peace. I want more of what I desire, not to turn it around and get more of what I don't want. We focus on what we do want. We want more peace. We give more peace. And that can be on an individual level, can be that we start to see people as human beings. We start to see people as equal because as brothers and sisters, because we are, just because we are unlike in color does not mean anything. That is the outward appearance. And remember, it's all about the inward appearance. When we eat an ice cream cone, or when we get a dog, we don't say, well, the dog is too dark, or the dog is too black, or the dog is too white, or the dog is too brown. We may have our individual preferences. But when I look around, I see people with black dogs, and I see people with different color hamsters and different color houses and different color, when you see different colored plants, the God is the God, he is he it this power is trying to show us that we are not defined by the color. He loves color. He loves variety. He expressed himself through every color, shape, every molecular difference. He is expressing himself. He wants to express more of himself because he's showing us who we are. But when we forget, we don't remember, and we want to judge, and we want to criticize, and don't realize that the person, the thing that we are criticizing is God, because he made us in his image. And when we take this in consideration of self-hatred, that we cannot change the past, but we can create a better future. We can decide to love instead of hate, to choose peace within first before we choose peace without. Because the more peaceful we become within, the more peaceful we will become on the external. And so there are so many people, when you think about depression and you think about anxiety, that these weeds are like they continue to make a home for others. That at the end of it, if we truly love ourselves, if we truly loved who we were, we'd love others because we see ourselves in them. If we truly love ourselves, we would eat the proper food and no one would have to tell us what to eat. That's getting to the heart of the matter. That I'm going to listen to my body. I'm going to listen to what it likes and what it doesn't like. If we truly love ourselves, we wouldn't let others distract us or deter us from what we're here to do, from our gifts, our talents, and our abilities. If we truly loved ourselves, we wouldn't stuff our face or overeat. We wouldn't eat gallons of ice cream or cartons. We wouldn't use profanity and demeaning words. So you have to see, because that's where compassion comes in. That's where understanding comes in. If I understand that what you're doing is because you don't love yourself, then it has nothing to do with me and everything to do with yourself. That we can reduce the anger that we feel towards others. That we can continue to shine light and not feed into hatred. We can starve hatred by not watching it, by not giving it the attention, because the more attention we give it, the more anger we give it, the more anxiety we give it, the more fear we give it, the more it grows. The more the weed grows, the more self-hatred grows, and the more the demeaning action, slander, all of that grows with it. But if we starve it and say, I refuse to be angry at you, I refuse to hate myself because of what you say and what you do, that I'm going to choose to love myself, and you become more of a vibrant being. And the more light we shine within ourselves, the more light that people will see. And the light is what reminds people of themselves. When you think about Paul in the Bible, and remember, it was never about religion to me. I believe there is some truth in all religion because God is in everything. That it was more of a spiritual transformation journey that I had. I saw someone who had a conviction to truth, someone who treated people with love, someone who wanted people to understand their true nature through healing, restoration, and who fed and who believed in something more powerful than himself. That I never even considered myself a Christian, and I still don't. And if that makes me not part of a group, then so be it. Because we're more than our religion, we're more than our experiences, we're more than our circumstances. We are children of the most high power there is. And how we how we divide ourselves plays no ref, how would I say it? It does not diminish this power. It does not diminish who we are, that we cannot be defined, that we can choose this group, but it does not limit us. It does not label us. It's not supposed to. There's no Greek, there's no Jew, and God. God is everything and in everything. And so if you are dealing with self-hatred, and chances are we all are in some form, we're dealing with that. When you look at the world, when you hear the howling voices of others, when we're not doing our work and having self-doubt, we're not believing in ourselves enough, when we walk around with our heads low, when we're not allowing our light to shine, we don't have the firm conviction of what we're here for, when we're allowing alcohol and drugs and sex to master us, there is some self-hatred. When we're overeating, anything less than ourselves, there is some self-hatred, including myself. It's not about being perfect. It's about reminding ourselves of who we are daily, reminding ourselves, sitting quietly with ourselves and asking the pertinent questions, because I do believe we ask, we shall receive, we seek, we shall find. I do believe that in due time, everything will come out. Truth will come out. But if we ask, do I hate myself? How can I begin to love more of myself? And I believe in open-ended questions. How can I begin to love myself? Not how can I begin to love others, but how can I begin to love myself first? Let's start there. And it may cause for some reflection. It may bring some things up. But I believe the things that come up in us are the very things that need to be released. That we don't keep swallowing, keep eating hateful thoughts, fearing what I've done, what my ancestors have done, hating what others have done to my ancestor. But at some point, we have to put it to rest and say, this is a new day. This is a new generation. And we deserve to give ourselves an opportunity to be better, to be wiser, to be truer than the previous generations. And it's nothing bad. We don't have to call out names. We don't have to label people. Consciousness does not seek to do that. It seeks to unveil itself, its true meaning, its true self. And so we deserve the energy. We have the right. We have the time to take our lives back, to present more of ourselves every single day, to be conscious of our words, of our actions, to be what we say to our children, speaking with them, asking them about their day. Because self-hatred doesn't build in one moment. It is something that builds overnight. Having that relationship with our children, helping them to feel valued, showing them how, taking them places and showing them how to treat other people. We don't have to put it on display. We could be mindful of our hearts and how we truly feel, but choose a different expression. Choose to say hello. Choose to not judge. Choose to help. Choose to smile. Choose to be honest and say, at some point, I thought this about this specific group, and it was wrong. And let me tell you why it was wrong. Because as parents, as caregivers, we are here to remind our children, these spirits that we are guiding as their spiritual guardian, to remind them of who they are. And we do that not just with words, honesty, but we also do it with our actions. With our actions. We know where we were, and we decide who we're going to be, our true selves. This is Timika Chambers with Create a Generational Love Cycle, speaking on self-hatred. And if you didn't listen to my podcast, the episode on divisiveness, please do. And if that resonates with you, share it. Because we need to dismantle these thoughts that created the cycle of pain in the first place and set our minds on freeing ourselves. And the first place that we need to be free is our mindset, our hearts. Removing the weeds that created the emotions that feed the violence that we see, and create a new earth from our own internal gardens. I'll talk to you guys soon. Make this lifetime great. My apologies for not taping this yesterday on Wednesday, but I'm here. All right. Take care of yourself. You have the right for true self-expression. You have the power to do so because the power lies within you.